Brothers and sisters of Burkina Faso, sons and daughters of Africa, listen with the fire of your hearts open. What I say today is not just for our nation. It is for every soul that refuses to kneel before those who try to control us. Look around you. Look at this bridge we are building. Not with foreign steel, not with the money of those who enslaved us, but with our own hands. With the tires that once rolled on our soil, now turned into a lifeline for our people. This bridge is not just a crossing over water. It is a crossing from humiliation to dignity, from dependence to freedom. Do you know why we build with tires? Because we use what we have. We do not wait for Europe to approve, for America to send aid, or for anyone to give us permission to live like human beings. We take what is ours, what is around us, and we create. They said Africa cannot innovate, they lied. They said we cannot build. They lied. They said we cannot survive without them. They lied. This bridge is a message to every colonizer hiding in suits and ties, to every hand that has stolen our gold, our land, our future. We are done begging. We are done waiting. We are done obeying. To my people, I know your pain. I have walked in your villages where children drink from dirty rivers, where mothers cry because there is no food, where farmers are crushed by the weight of poverty, while the wealth of our soil fills foreign banks. I have seen the despair they wanted to keep us in, but I tell you today, despair dies here. It dies on this bridge. We are not building a bridge of tires. We are building a bridge of defiance, a bridge of pride, a bridge that says to the world, we will, we must, and to those who threaten us, who try to destabilize us because they fear a free Africa. Hear me clearly, Burkina Faso will not bow. We have no fear of your sanctions, your armies, your lies. We are ready to face hunger, but not chains. We are ready to face bullets, but not slavery. We will feed ourselves, defend ourselves, build ourselves. This is bigger than one project. This is bigger than one country. This is the awakening of a continent. From the Sahel to the Cape, from Dar to Dar es Salaam, Africa is standing. We are tearing off the ropes they tied around our necks. We are breaking the silence they forced upon us. And we are doing it with the strength of our ancestors flowing in our veins. Remember this, no empire in history has ever survived when the people they oppress decide to rise. And we have decided. So to every child watching this, to every farmer, every worker, every soldier, every mother, every father, this is your call. Stand with us. Build with us. Defend this land with us, because Africa will only be free when its people refuse to accept anything less. This bridge of tires will carry us to a new dawn, and when history writes of this moment, it will not say that foreign hands saved us. It will say that Africans saved themselves. Burkina Faso, Africa, stand tall, stand proud, and never forget we are free people. And free people do not ask for permission to rise. Now, let's finish this bridge and let the world watch what a united, unbroken Africa can do. He stood before his people and turned a simple act into a revolution. A bridge of tires, something the world might dismiss as insignificant, became a thunderous declaration of pride and defiance. He made them see that this was not just rubber bound together. It was Africa bound together. It was the beating heart of a nation refusing to be broken. In his words, the tires carried the sweat of workers, the determination of farmers, the unyielding spirit of a people who refused to kneel. He spoke of how Africa has been told for centuries that it is incapable, that it must depend on others for its survival, that nothing strong can come from its own soil. But with this bridge, he shattered that lie. He showed that greatness is not built with foreign tools, but with the courage to use what is already in your hands. He reminded them that freedom is not given, it is taken. That dignity is not bought, it is earned. As he spoke, people felt the power of his words shaking their doubts, lifting their heads higher. This bridge was not merely crossing a river. It was crossing the line between weakness and strength, between waiting for permission and claiming destiny. In that moment, every listener felt part of something larger than themselves. A movement where each stone, each tire, each hand working in unity became a weapon against humiliation, and a step toward a future no one else could define for them. He stripped away every illusion planted in African minds, tearing apart the poisonous myth that without foreign guidance Africa is nothing. He spoke with a fire that burned through decades of lies, exposing how they said Africa cannot innovate, cannot lead, cannot survive on its own. He reminded his people that these were not truths, but chains carefully forged to keep them dependent, begging for what is already theirs. He pointed to the bridge of Tyres as proof that innovation does not come from the outside, but from the courage to trust what lies within. He told them that Africa's strength has always been here, in its people, its land, its history of resilience, but it was hidden under the weight of colonial deception. He called on his people to reclaim that strength, to see themselves not as poor or incapable, but as builders of a future only they can create. Every word struck like a hammer against the walls of inferiority that had been built in their minds. As he spoke, eyes lit up with a new understanding that they do not need to wait for permission, funding, or approval. They already have everything they need to rise. He made them believe not in a government, not in a leader, but in themselves, in the collective power of a continent that has endured everything and still stands unbroken. His voice hardened like steel as he turned to those who seek to break them, leaving no doubt that Burkina Faso would not bend to the will of outsiders. He spoke of the sanctions imposed to starve their people, the threats of armies meant to frighten them, the endless stream of lies designed to turn the world against them. He called these acts nothing more than the desperation of those who fear a free Africa. He told his people they must be ready to endure hunger, because freedom is worth more than a full stomach. He told them they must be ready to face bullets, because dignity is worth more than life lived in chains. He reminded them that every generation of Africans who fought before paid a price, so their children would not live as slaves, and now it was their turn to prove worthy of that sacrifice. His words did not tremble. They roared, declaring that no force on this earth can defeat a people who have decided to be free. He painted a vision of courage so fierce that fear itself seemed to retreat, and those listening felt a strange power rising in their chests, the power of a nation unafraid, a people who would rather die on their feet than live on their knees. He lifted the struggle of Burkina Faso beyond its borders, turning it into a call that echoed across the entire continent. He spoke of how their fight was not just for one nation, but for every African who has been silenced, robbed, and treated as less than human. He reminded them that the chains of colonialism may have changed shape, but they still bind the hands of Africa through exploitation, debt, and control. He called on neighboring nations to see Burkina Faso's stand as their own, to understand that if one country dares to break free, it lights a fire for all others to follow. His words carried the weight of unity, telling them that true freedom cannot exist in isolation, that a single liberated nation surrounded by oppression is still in danger. He spoke of an Africa that shares its strength, its resources, its vision, an Africa that refuses to be divided by artificial borders drawn by foreign powers. As he spoke, the people could feel themselves becoming part of something greater than their own village, their own country. They were becoming part of a continental awakening. They could imagine the day when African voices speak as one, when no outside power can dictate their future, when their children grow up proud to belong to a land that stands tall and unbroken. In that vision, they saw not just hope, but destiny. He closed with a vision so powerful it felt like the future itself was calling to them. He spoke of a day when no African child would go to bed hungry, when no farmer would be forced to sell his harvest for scraps, while others grow rich from his toil, when no mother would weep because her son or daughter was taken by wars fueled by foreign greed. He told them that history will not remember the chains that bound them, but the moment they broke free. He said the world will one day look to Africa not as a land to be pitied or plundered, but as a force that stood on its own feet and shaped its own destiny. His voice carried a promise that this generation would be the one to finish what their ancestors began, to reclaim what was stolen, to make the sacrifices of those who fought before them worth something. He painted a picture of freedom that was not just survival, but pride, not just existence but greatness. As his words sank into the hearts of his people, they felt a fire within them that no enemy could extinguish. The unshakable belief that they were not waiting for a savior. They were becoming their own salvation.